Reading of the Proclamation of Philippine Independence. For this particular document, we are about to discuss the content and contextual analysis of the Declaration of Philippine Independence document. We are giving our analysis at the same time the important highlights of this very significant event in our history. The primary purpose of this study is to present the primary source, the author's background, and also the importance and relevance of this document into our history. We have here a picture shown the General Emilio Aguinaldo in his balcony in Kawit, Cavite. This particular scenario or event, every year, our country commemorates the anniversary of the Philippine independence that was proclaimed on June 12, 1898 in the province of Cavite. Indeed, this undertaking is a significant turning point in our history because it signaled the end of the 333 years of the Spanish colonization in the land. The declaration was a short 2,000 word document which summarized the reason behind the revolution against Spain, the war for independence, and the future of the new republic under Emilio Aguinaldo. So before we proceed with the content of this uh, Declaration of Philippine Independence document, let us have first check the author's background. This particular document was written by Ambrosio Rianzares Bautista, also known as Don Bosyong, later translated by Sulpicio Guevara, an author born on year 1904. Ambrosio Lianzares Bautista was born on December 7, 1830 at Binyan, Laguna, Captaincy General of the Philippines. In addition, the Declaration of Philippine Independence, as mentioned earlier, was proclaimed on June 12, 1898 in El Viejo, today Kawit, Cavite, at the balcony of the General Emilio Aguinaldo's residence, as depicted on the first picture that we shown in the first slide. The declaration was signed by 98 persons. Moving forward, these are the highlights of the proclamation. A speech includes first, it includes the characterization of the condition of the Philippines during the Spanish colonial period. The document specifically mentioned the abuses and inequalities in the colony. As we all know, since we were colonized with the Spaniard for more than 300 years, we suffered a lot. And there is inequalities and abuses that happens during their stay here in the country. Second, the brief history or the brief historical overview of the Spanish occupation in the Philippines since the Magellan's arrival in the Visayas until the Philippine Revolution in 1898, with the significant details about the latter, especially after the Pact of Biak na Bato had collapsed. During the speech, it has mentioned or it takes us into a overview or an overview of the Spanish occupation experience here in the Philippines. during the arrival of the Spaniards led by Ferdinand Magellan in 1521 up to the Philippine Revolution in 1898, wherein it it mentions several abuses, and also it mentions the inequalities during their stay here in the Philippines. So overall, this document of the Declaration of Philippine Independence narrates and give us a summary of the Spanish occupation in the Philippines started by the year 1521 and up to Philippine Revolution in 1898. And also, this document, it mentioned the results execution, calling it unjust. Also included in the speech of during the proclamation was the Cavite Mutiny of January 1872 that causes the infamous execution of the martyred native priests Jose Burgos, Mariano Gomez, and Jacinto Zamora, whose innocent blood was shed through the intrigues of those so-called religious orders that cited the three secular priests in said mutiny. Another one is the speech established, the proclamation's speech has established republic would be led under the dictatorship of Don Emilio Aguinaldo. In addition, it also explained the Philippine flag that was waved on the same day. So our Philippine flag was somehow characterized and patterned in the flag of the United States because it depicts the colors. Some of the colors of our flag was depicted from theirs or from the American flag. Now let us proceed with the analysis of the Proclamation of Philippine Independence document. As we re-examine the document on the Declaration of Philippine Independence, it reveals some often overlooked historical truths about the importance of this event in our history. First, the document refers the general revolutionary sentiment of that period. So the whole document is narrating the Philippine sentiment during the revolutionary period on that time. Second, the proclamation also gives us the impression on how the victorious revolutionary government of Aguinaldo historicized the struggle for independence. Third, there were mention of past events that were seen as important turning points of the movement against the Spaniards or against the Spain. So they have mentioned Rizal's execution along with the Cavite Mutiny where the infamous death of three martyred priests and also the abuses of the priors all throughout the occupation of the Spaniards in the Philippines. However, the Katipunan is the pioneer of the revolutionary movement was only mentioned once toward the end of the document. There was no mention of the Katipunan's foundation. Bonifacio, his co-founders were also left out. The enmity between Aguinaldo's Magdalo, and Bonifacio's Magdiwang in the Katipunan is no secret in the pages of our history. Also, the point is even the official records and documents like the Proclamation of Independence, while truthful most of the time, still exclude the politics and biases of whoever is in power. So, if we are going to thoroughly read and analyze the whole speech, it it proves that um, major components of the KKK was being left out. Even the founder of the KKK and the essence and the contributions of KKK into the Philippine Revolution of 1898 was being or was left out. It is because I think due to the enmity between Emilio Aguinaldo's Magdalo and Andres Bonifacio's Magdiwang. This also manifests in the selectiveness of the information that can be found in these records. So they were very selective in putting informations that will be given in the proclamation of the Philippine independence. And also, for me, it is the task of the historians to analyze the content of this document in relation to dominant politics and the context of people and institutions surrounding it. Also, in conclusion, this document tells us a lesson on taking primary sources like official government records within the circumstances of this production. Also, studying one of the historical subjects thus entails looking at the multiple primary sources and pieces of historical evidences in order to have a more nuanced and contextual analysis of the past. On the other hand, on the brighter side, it is we could also conclude in this document of the Declaration of Philippine Independence that the proclamation itself is important to the whole country because it serves as a proof being independent of our country from the colonies. Second, this document analyzes and expresses all about the events happened during the conquest by the colonists in 300 or more than 300 years. Also, the government issued document can prove us that our country and its people were freed from the colonies, and it also implies that we have the right to live without any hindrances and we also have equality. And also, it teaches us to be more independent and to fight for ourselves and to our country in order to exercise our right to live with freedom, peace, mind, and unity with others. And thank you for listening. Once again, this is your instructor.